Kenya came from a really, really tough situation. Her birth parents, there was lots of poverty there. There was lots of neglect and abuse until she was adopted into a family that loved her and cared for her.
Prior to that, all she had ever known was this abuse and how that affected every relationship in her life after that. And that's all she knew.
We got Kenya when she was 2 years old, and pulling up to where we picked her up, the lady that had her was sitting on the porch, and Kenya was just wrapped around her neck, just scared to death. And when Adam walked up, she kind of went crazy screaming and stuff. She was very, very afraid of men. When we were coming home, we actually already had her 2 younger twin brothers. And they were at home with the rest of our kids, and we also had 3 other kids, so there was a lot of noise with babies, and we took her in. She still didn't want to be anywhere near Adam.
It was months before she would spend any time with me, or I couldn't even be in the same room with her for several months.
It was probably 2 months. Anytime I set her down, she would just scream. If I had to go into the bathroom, I would just leave her at the door screaming. When I had to feed the babies, help any of the other kids, we just had to let her scream. And again, Adam couldn't help at all, couldn't be in a room with her. You could tell there was so much trauma around men for her. And we just kind of operated in survival mode at that point. She also woke up probably for 3 years every single night with nightmares. And sometimes she could talk to us about it, sometimes she couldn't. She would just shake, and we'd just have to kind of hold her. And she'd run into our room and tell us stories that there were men that were trying to get at her, and that she was scared and she didn't want them to find her. And at a young age, she was diagnosed with bipolar and reactive attachment disorder, which she also was diagnosed with disassociation. And we found out that when she would have these episodes where she would become violent and scream and yell and fight back, and afterwards she would say, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't know why I'm doing this.
Well, the last 4 years, about 4 years ago, things just escalated to where we have a daughter who doesn't trust or doesn't have a bond or a relationship, and just with us, and kind of fought everything we tried to do with her, and it got worse and worse. Got violent.
Mostly really upset, mostly feeling like, oh, poor me type things, and like, why are they doing this to me, and why this and why that, and instead of maybe I should do this, instead of get upset, I was more acting instead of thinking.
We had to learn self-defense. We had to learn proper ways to restrain.
Yeah, it got to the point where we had the police here almost daily. We had to get the rest of the kids out of the house several times and send them to Grandma and Grandpa's or send them around the block. And there was vacations, trips we couldn't take. And it got to the point where it kind of hurt everyone else. So the other kids started suffering from having episodes like this.
Her psychiatrist had told us that she probably needed to go into girls' facility where she can get higher care and treatment. And I, as a mom, had a lot of guilt around that. I felt like if we sent her to someone else, then it was going to mean, like, she would think that we had given up on her and walked out on her. And I knew how strong her trust issues were, that I was so afraid of giving those feelings that she had validation, and I was so concerned with that. I didn't want her to be in a place that felt more like an employee, where you'd have shift changes in and out. We just felt really strongly that she needed to be in an environment where it had a family feel. At this point, everyone kept telling us, like, sorry, you know, there's not really any place out there because she's not 12 yet. At this point, she was 10 and a half, I think, before we found Utah Youth Village. That was kind of like, I felt like we stumbled upon a miracle, and we didn't know if something was out there like
Well,
that.
it was what we needed, and we didn't even know it existed.
It was like shell shock at first, didn't know what to do. And she was on so much medication that she was actually falling asleep during family activities. At dinner, she would fall asleep.
We noticed that Kenya had a lot of guilt and shame for her behavior. She was aware that's not how you react. That's, you know, she was aware of the damaging things that was happening in her relationships. And so we had her work on that skill so that way she can confront her part in this, because she had so much guilt and even shame, which then took her further away from wanting to articulate her emotions about it. And, you know, sometimes even praise was really hard for her. She disliked having praise for a time being because she didn't want that acknowledgement.
So we used some advanced skills with Kenya, using a coping skill, knowing when to say when you needed a break or to step away from the situation. Another skill we used was emotional impulse control, being able to control those emotions.
The idea that, I mean, there's only 4 people who ever work in our home. And one of the things that Kenya struggled with was developing relationship. And, you know, you could have surface relationships. Like, you can have many people come in and out of your life and who are working with you. It's easy to kind of get through those relationships. But when you're with someone, with 4 people who work with you all the time, it starts to develop into more of a trust and an intimate relationship which are harder to develop. And being in our home and it being family style, we mimic relationships that you have to work at. And utilizing the teaching family model as well, that consistency.
I remember the first time, because we actually couldn't talk with her for a little bit while she was there. But when she called me for the first time and said, "Mom, I just want to tell you I'm sorry. I want to be your best friend, and I know that what you guys were doing was just trying to help me." And I actually called her house mom, Tanya, after that and just cried, like, I don't even know what changed. I don't know what helped, you know? And it just seemed like very quickly Kenya realized that she could have a different future if she wanted it.
What I like about Tanya is she's like kind of my twin. She's really funny. She always has a comment for everything. It's like always fun talking with her, always fun like explaining my feelings, because she makes it feel like, oh, it's okay to do this, it's normal. And Joe, he's not that type of person, but he still works. I gotta admit, I kind of hated him the first couple months, and then he became like my best friend, so that was good.
We were walking through the City Creek Mall, and she read a sign as we were going into Macy's that said no smoking. And she turned around and said, "Well, it's too bad that I'm just smoking hot."
And Joe started dying because I don't know why. It was just funny, I guess.
And she was able to like express that love for herself that we had never seen before.
And so like she like gained this like love for herself and like accepted that love from other people.
She's a very talented girl.
Yes.
But she didn't know it, and we didn't know it, because she was always fighting those things from the past. And through the things she's learned, she's got the confidence, and her talents are just blossoming. It's amazing to see.
We have this picture of when she first came into our home about a week in, and then the picture of her last day there. And not only did she go through this like emotional, mental transformation, she went through this physical transformation. So if you put the pictures side by side, you physically see her standing taller. She looks happier. She has this glow about her.
She started having visits with us and stuff, and it got to the point that I had a hard time taking her back each time, because we had just seen this girl blossom.
It was amazing. She she has learned the things she needs to learn and is a whole new person. She's still her sweet, cute little Kenya, but she has come a long ways.
Utah Youth Village is unique in that we are able to offer the family's first component of our continuum to kids that have been in one of our family homes, where they've got really high quality clinical intervention, family therapy, individual therapy, maybe group therapy, the skills, but then we're able to help transition those skills into the home and teach parents to have similar skills and abilities as a family teacher or as a treatment parent.
Yeah, we were worried about her coming back home and just, boom, we're on our own. Good luck. And so when we found out about Families First, we thought that's perfect. That's what we need. Somebody to help us transition from where she's at to back into our home.
It's a lot easier on a individual basis. So like, what would you do in this situation? But to be in the moment and have someone there coaching the parents, coaching the kids, and teaching them how to apply those skills in real life is really powerful.
And so I think it's most effective because we use the family. So we use the parents. And while Kenya learns a skill, Adam and Sarah are learning another skill that goes hand in hand. And so if Kenya was able to push back before, now she can't, because Sarah knows, all right, she's trying to do this and I'm gonna do this in order to not give her that much power. I think they're a very special family. It's a big family, a lot of adopted kids, very, very welcoming to me and the program and any kind of help in order to improve the quality of the life of their kids, which I think it's not found very often in parents.
I like the fact that they have pieces of it that they work with me and Adam as parents, and then they have pieces of it that they help continue to educate Kenya, and then pieces of it that we all work together. So it's all these moving parts, and it's very hands-on. Like, we have homework things that we do, in between.
And role plays.
Which we all grow through, right?
Right.
They actually ask us the situations that we deal with or that we work through, and they tailor it to, putting those pieces into our situation. The people that have been involved with this program for us, I consider them saving angels in our lives. I feel like miracles have happened, and I know it's through the system and through the process with our family, and just my hat goes off to all those that have put this program together, because it literally has saved our family. So